Sound check, take one. Before we start, I need to address something that I said in last week's video. So in the last video, I called myself a programmer. And I said I would create a video series about programming for programmers. I've received a whole bunch of feedback from this, from sincere, proper feedback to hilarious things, to men mansplaining me what happened here. So I've since learned that the word programming is just kind of a no-go. There's a couple of issues with this. First of all, in different cultures, programming seems to mean a little bit different things. Especially in North America, the word has a bad connotation to it. And the second issue, which is a bit worse, is that it's very much gender biased, right? Bro is for bros, for men mainly. So I can imagine if you're not a bro, but anything else out there, that you might have thought, hey, but this is about programming. It has nothing to do with gender. It's just my mind that does creative things. Why does he make these videos for bros? I can imagine that's not the best feeling, especially if you're from North America and you're like, hey, but programming is a pretty negative thing to talk about, right? So I will hereby apologize for the fact that I used that word, because these videos are meant for everybody. I want you to feel like you can just watch these things without being judged. Even if that was not my intention, if that happened, that's just not cool. So I will not be creating a video series for programmers. I will just be creating videos about web development. They are for everybody. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and introduce my next video. So this week's video is an interview. It's my first one, so please bear with me. I might say some strange stuff or I talk too much. Please leave a comment if you see something that can be better. I will be interviewing Maya Shavin. Maya is Vietnamese, but she lives in Israel, where she is a senior web developer for Cloudinary. In her team, the R&D team, they need generalists, and Maya is one of those. She can either do accessibility or CSS, or you give her JavaScript or C#, give her anything and she's amazing at it. On top of that, she's a speaker at conferences. She makes training videos. She's a technical writer. She organizes events. She's amazing. She has a big output, and all of that output is really, really good. It's all of super high quality. So in this interview, I hope to learn about a bit of backstory, what drives her, how does she do so much, how does she combine family life, stuff like that. I hope that with these interviews that I can actually distill the tools of the trade of people that are super amazing at doing what they do. So if you, the viewer, are actually someone who wants to go into the community and do some content creation or stuff like that, hopefully we can find you some answers from the people that have done this for a while and that are super awesome at it. So let's waste no more time on this intro. Let's get to the interview. So Maya, you moved from Vietnam to Israel. That's a pretty big change. So how did you feel about the cultural differences, and can you elaborate on how that was for you?
Well, it's a huge difference in culture. It's like I did have a little bit of culture shock. Well, not a little bit. I have a huge amount of culture shock
All
because
right.
I went from the culture that is really polite and where respect come first, and I treat each other with the like smile and being polite as much as possible, to a culture that is nothing like anywhere.
Okay.
It's like it's a unique culture where people are really speaking their mind, like they speak their mind out loud, and they treat each other with respect, but respect in a different way. Like in my culture, we don't really speak out what we really think, because we think of other people feelings and other people actually mood at the same time, not to hurt people. In
Okay.
the other way, in Israel, people just speak out whatever they think, regardless what the other people feel. Like complaining, and sometimes it's very annoying, and the language is very strong. So I always feel like the first two years, I always feel like they are fighting to each other
Oh,
every
because
single time.
yeah, wow. That was my next question. Like, how long did it take you to feel like yourself in this culture?
Well, it takes me quite long. I think it takes me on and off. Like some part of the cultures I really like, because I've been struggling with it my whole life. Because I only like to speak my mind out loud. So I when I got to Israel, it's really cool because not only I can settle down, but in some point I prefer to be polite, to trick people, being nice, but being nice doesn't mean I'm going to get what I want. So it's been on and off. Like one day I feel really happy, one day I'm really connected to everyone, to the culture. The other
Yeah.
day I feel like I'm completely off, and I just don't want to be there anymore. It took I think it took about yeah, 1 year and a half or 2 years after I start going to university in Israel. I get to study with the local people. Then it getting more and more getting easier and easier for me to adapt into the environment. And I
Wow.
still think that's the best move I did.
I'm really interested in this part because I did it the other way, but relatively in a smaller step. I went from Amsterdam, that's a little bit like Israel, I think, towards France. And the change is smaller, but it still took me like 6 months to at least feel. So, quick question on how does it work for you when you get feedback at work? Is the way you give feedback different from Vietnam in Israel?
um, well, it's different. It's in general, it's very different, but it's not necessarily for the worse.
Okay.
Let's say at work in Israel, if someone tell you that they someone tell you that you're doing a bad job, which means you really do a bad job. Like
Ah,
they
okay.
didn't mean to hurt you.
Mm.
They say at that point, fine, you can argue about something really passionately. Like I can argue with a person about an approach at work that I don't agree on, and the other can protect themselves and saying, okay, this is not okay. This is what I think. This is where you're wrong. Like if they will tell you you're wrong, you're doing a bad job, but after they saying that, they don't mean any bad thing, and they don't keep it in their mind and going later to spread it out behind your back. In
I
other
think.
way,
Oh wow, sorry. No, this is the culture I should go to. It's like how I am. This is like the Netherlands. Maybe it's meant to be.
yeah,
Oh, we have a visitor. So
yeah.
let's go to another question. So you do a lot in the community of front end, and I
Hmm.
say a lot. And all that you do is actually of exceptional quality. Can you explain how you actually manage to do everything so well?
Well, sleepless night.
Okay,
you
okay.
know like everyone else, you want to do more, you got to sacrifice something, right? No, I'm joking. Actually, yeah, I do spend a lot. Like I work with one of the good thing about me that I do things very fast.
Okay.
So it saved my time in doing coding, in doing stuff compared to any other person. But in general, yeah, you got to work hard. So I schedule my time accordingly. From the morning, I start work really early. I normally start my day about 5 o'clock. So I
Wow.
start
Okay.
5 in the morning. I woke up. I get kids, all my kids stuff ready, making breakfast, setting up the school stuff. Leave it there. So by 6:30, when they wake up, it's already ready, and they just need to get dressed and go. So by 6:30, so 7, I only start being able to sit down and do my work. And
Wow.
then when I do my work, I do it constantly. Like lunchtime, I only eat very fast. And then I don't really like to spend a lot of time in lunch. Like I choose the most easiest thing I can eat and then eat it like 10 minutes, 15 minutes and go back to complete my work. And after that, like when I finish my work, I can start working on my personal project, do things organized according to notions. Like I have notion application and I divide it into some kind of board and like test weekly, and I choose which test I prioritize this today, how much time I spend on that, and I just do according to that one. um it doesn't work most sometimes, not all the time, but most of the time it got me to complete and balance out my work. And normally I go to sleep around 12, 1 o'clock, something like that.
Wow. So if I hear it correctly, it's mainly your organizational skill that gives you the space in your mind to be able to be great, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, because then say if you have kids, then in the nighttime you need to spend at least 2 hour, 1 hour, 2 hour with them, reading the story, being able to shower, making food for them. Luckily, I have a husband that is super cool, that he willing to help me with most of the housework, so I have more time dedicated to my work. But I still want to be with my kids, so it's have to trade off somehow. I still haven't been able to finish all the things I wanted to do. I still have a very big backlog
Mm.
of tasks. But yeah, just get going. I don't try to pressure myself so much about what can I do. But everything I do, I try to do as the maximum level I can at that point.
All right. So it sounds like you have it all really together, and I think that's super cool. So you really kind of balance your home life and your work life, and but that sounds like every time you try something that it's amazing and good. But I can also imagine that that might not be true because we learn the most from the stuff that might not go very well. So do you
Yeah.
have one of those stories that that thing didn't go well, but because of that I'm now here and here, and can you maybe elaborate on that?
Um have a lot of story like that. Say sometimes, let's say I have a lot of projects going on, and I used to have a lot of project I want
Mm.
to start, and I started, and then I learned that I cannot do multitasking at one time. It is multitasking. It's just a myth that you cannot really do two things at the same time.
Okay.
And I tried to do it, and I end up with two projects. Each of them have something that haven't finished, and it's not in a perfect condition, and in the end it's just hurt my performance and the quality I want to deliver. And the two project also didn't finish on time, so it's like, and then I realized that I need to get rid of one, or at least put one on hold and focus on only one, and focus on the minimal, that the most important thing I want to do it fast and concentrate on it. Don't get sidetracked or something, and then move on when it's finished. It and it's a process of learning also. And sometimes when you do quick coding, let's say I write a really fast solution for a bug or a feature, and then it works. Of course, it work. But in JavaScript, you quick solution doesn't mean it's going well, right? So
No.
after two or it always not doesn't go well, and then after 2 weeks or a month, I came back. They want to add another feature. I came back and I saw the code, and I like, holy God, what did I do here?
Okay.
And then I'm not happy with it. And they had to spend more time rewriting it and understand why they have a performance issue here. A lot of things like that make me give me the experience and give me help me learn a lesson here, that do things fast, but do things fast in within a reason, not to do it just to finish it and go move on to the next one. Sometimes need to drop a bit. That's also reason why in 2020 I tried to drop down some of the part of what I've been doing,
Mm.
like speaking and other stuff. to focus more on what I really like.
Okay, this is great. So we need to capture this, and everybody should try to use this. So when you think about, let's see, how can I ask this? Because this is always an interesting question. So is there something that you are actually super good at that you're really not known for? Like, is there a superpower you have that you use behind the scenes?
Ah, well, I'm superpower because I'm superwoman. That's why.
I guess.
I'm just a normal person like anyone else.
Mm,
Um, I'll just. I think I'm grateful because one of the things I'm grateful because I'm a fast learner,
yeah.
and so I can learn something, uh, some concept faster, and I learn by actually playing around with it, and it doesn't take me a long time to play around with something. And also, when I learn something, actually learn too deep, which means I don't just go. I mean, if I don't understand something, I'm going to Google it until I get to the ground, unless that's something I don't like. But if something interests me, then I will just go inside, deep diving inside, and
Mm.
even can come out with an idea for an article. So I like to one stone for two birds.
Well, you
Like,
just did it, right? We tried to record
yeah.
this thing. I couldn't figure it out. You Googled it, and in literally 10 seconds, you knew what I had to do. So I think maybe your superpower is a fast brain that finds the right stuff.
Yeah, I think so. It's like my brain process pretty fast, so I can think of a solution very fast, or I can think of a way to tweak stuff. But also sometimes it's slow. It's slow in a very weird way. Like if you drop me in the middle of a junction, I will never get lost. But if you ask me how to navigate or to go to an address or whether go north, south, east, I don't know how to do it.
Wow. Okay.
I don't.
It's
Like I
situational, shall we say.
yeah.
So I actually have a kind of a similar approach myself. I also have a fast brain generally, but I do sometimes notice that I go too fast with the brain because I already, because of my experience as a developer, I figure something out
Mhm.
very quickly, and I know kind of, yeah, in the end it will just be that thing. So let's go there quickly. Do you have similar issues with that?
Yeah, I do have similar issue. I think all of us have the similar issue. The more experienced we are, the faster we jump into conclusion,
Mm.
and that's not always good. So for the in the other day, someone asked me about a bug in JavaScript, and I don't remember what it is, but it's something that I remember I have experience with it, and I'm sure there's only one solution to solve it, which is not a solution because it like somehow like the browser doesn't support it,
Mm.
and the not and the language doesn't have the good API for it or something. But then so I come to the conclusion very fast. But then in the end, we found out that there was updated. There was another way which I didn't know. So everything like that is it takes time. It's like we know that we have experience, but sometimes we need to slow down a bit, double check our answer before we give the answer back. We it
Yes,
have
you're
to learn,
preaching.
yeah.
I like this. So,
Mm.
in our world as developers, there is a lot of men around us, right? I'm one of those, right?
Mhm.
So, but you are excelling, like you're doing really well. Have you ever noticed any type of bias towards you being a woman in tech and being so super successful?
Um, and well, it's hard for me to say because I actually in a countries in a environment that luckily I don't really have any bias over it. In the other way, we try to recruit more and more women
Mm.
into the industry, but not a lot, not enough. So, being a woman in the industry is still very unique.
Yeah.
In the other hand, in my team, uh, um, I'm working for several companies, and most of the companies so far, I'm the only woman in the team, or the only second or third woman on the team, and the team were like 7 or 8 developers, so you can guess the ratio.
Yeah, sure.
And they don't treat me like I'm a woman. They treat me like a dude.
You're one of the guys.
Like, yeah, like we don't really talk about gender, and they don't really open the gate for me. They don't treat me like a flower. They kind of joke around like with men and men. So I don't really feel the bias,
Okay.
but I don't really feel the difference. The bias I do feel as myself as part of the imposter syndrome, that sometimes I'm not good enough, but that's just a
Okay.
personal feeling. And sometimes it helps because it makes me feel I'm not good enough, so I need to try harder.
Okay.
And being a woman in such a team, like, of course, men and women have different personality traits sometimes. Clearly, there's a big mix of these things. But are there any things of being a woman in a team? Does that have a positive impact on the team, do you think?
Yeah, because same women and men things different. No matter how you put it, we are different. We're not the same. Physical strength, physical like emotional thinking, or we are not the same. So let's say in a team that you have men and women, sometimes the woman would think in a more careful way, and more careful and more organized. And the men is like in my team, the man is more like jumping into action,
Mm.
writing on the tools, and make it a little bit like how to say it, messy. It's the way it is, or given the different approach to a solution. But the woman, because we think differently, so we can look at the matter in the opposite angle, and then we can provide more insight that the man cannot think of. It's like two sides of the problem. You cannot live without one, because you cannot really develop a product only one way. You still need to have other people from other perspectives, right? So also we are good with being organized.
Well,
So
you are
so
clearly
we can both.
organized. Well, that's great, right?
uh,
I think we can all use that a
yeah.
little bit. So I know you're doing a whole bunch of conference talks and stuff like that. So do you ever notice any of the bias between men and women in this conference? Uh, how do you
Um,
say?
That yes, that I
Okay.
do see. Well, not between the one of the most common thing I heard is that you got selected because you're a woman.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like,
How do you feel about
yeah,
that?
um, it's pretty bad at the beginning.
Mm.
And then later I was like, okay, cool. So you can be a woman. So too bad for you. I've got to use
Okay.
whatever I get to get.
Well, the thing
I
is,
think
okay, once you speak, you're amazing. So you're showing other women they can do the same. But I get completely if they select you because of you're a woman, that must be a little bit shitty. I can imagine that.
yeah, because some conference, let's face it, some conference needs diversity.
Yes,
So they
exactly.
can invite you into a conference because you are a woman and you're working in high tech. And some will think that is uh, how say underrate, underestimate the person capacity. But again, if you're a woman and you need to go somewhere to expose yourself, and then you are not experienced enough to talk, like you're not a experienced speaker, so you got chosen because you are a woman, and you was given the first opportunity to talk in a conference just because you're a woman. Why not? It's your advantage. You got to take it, and
Sure.
then you prove later to the audience, to the conference organizer, that you are actually doing a good job. So
Yeah.
that's one side of looking at the things, like taking what people think is the disadvantage, turn it into an advantage, get to make a use with it. But in the other hand, I mean, now more or less, I think. In the other hand, if you get chosen because you're not a woman, or uh, uh, maybe because you're not a woman, but because when they do advertisement, or they do commercial announcement for you, they emphasize the fact that you are a woman in tech.
Mhm.
That also doesn't make you feel good. When you
Yeah.
got to learn to bypass it, like just laugh at it, move on. Because conference organizer also need to make sure that they are how to say they appeal to the community at good people and the stuff. So
I love
it,
how
it,
well you look at this. This is, I think, this is the only way to deal with it, I guess. And nowadays, you're so awesome at it. You've spoken at so many of them. Do you still notice this difference, or you're good now? You
um
can just get there on a
well
CFP.
I to be honest, I'm a little bit ignorant.
Okay.
So like ignorance, like it's a plus for me. Well, because I hardly notice these things unless I really care about it, which I really don't.
Sure.
I actually enjoy in the the fact that I'm in the middle. Like I enjoy the fact that I'm being treated equally, but I also enjoy the fact that someone opened the door for me. Like you can like I'm easygoing. I mean,
Okay. Great.
if I get selected,
Mm.
I'm grateful. I don't really care whether I'm getting selected because of what. They want me to come and speak. I have the time to come and speak, so I speak. And when I go there, I got to be treated. What important for me is that when I go to conference, I got to be treated as with the same respect that they have for all the speakers. That we
Yes.
are all at the
Exactly.
same level, and that's more important. Other than that, why or what make them choose me to be the speaker is less important. It's important that they chose me. I'm grateful, and I'm going to try my best to deliver the speech
Yeah, sure.
and have fun.
Yeah, exactly. So having fun, that's a nice bridge because I think the first time I met you was at
Mm.
a conference in Amsterdam, a very big Vue.js conference. So, how did you manage to land that gig as one of your first conference talks?
Well, that well,
Is
yeah.
that is not a
I
small
also don't.
feat. That's a proper conference.
Yeah, that's actually a funny thing because I was looking for being trying myself to be a speaker at conference, and you can always make me feel like you going. The one who stand on stage are really awesome and really experienced and really good in developing. So it's hard because I'm not experienced enough. I'm not good enough. How will I be there? But I want to try, and I don't know how to start.
Yeah.
And again, I'm lucky. I'm really lucky. I must say, I'm lucky enough to be in a company like Cloudinary because the chance to me for me to speak in Amsterdam was given because someone Doron
Yes.
Doron he was looking for a speaker that can speak in View Amsterdam about View.
Okay.
And in the whole team that we have in Cloudinary, I'm the only one who knows Vue.
All right,
Everyone
there you
knows
go.
React, and I'm
Yeah.
working with React also.
Yeah.
And he came and said, "Okay, anyone want to come to Vue Amsterdam?" And I'm like,
Yep.
"Oh yeah, I want to go to that one."
Oh, that's
And
great.
and then he asked me if I want to try to speak there. My team leader asked me also, and I like, why not? What do I lose here? Maximum that someone will make fun of me on social media, laughing about me talking. But
Yeah.
then
Exactly.
no one know me. So never mind. Let's go.
And now you're like a standard speaker in all the conferences. So now that you are kind of established and that you're even choosing, okay, let's do a little bit less this year, just the quality ones.
Mhm.
So what happens if, let's say, someone in my team who's a bit junior and he wants, or he or she wants to really also do the same as you? What advice do you have for them to make them a better speaker, or maybe like how to get out there? How do people get to know you?
Well, if you want to get out there, starting with the writing the finding something that you really want to talk about, a subject, a topic, and then it's an and then you have to ask, let's say, if someone in your team they clearly know you as the speaker and you already have experience, so need to ask you for helping in preparing the paper, helping. They have also kind of a lot of Google materials on how to write a good paper for CFP and how to write a good title for a talk. I did the same thing. I also Google it and I got to some speaker that she write down what steps she did. And then I just took it and tried to apply as much as I can to that according to that standard. And I got slowly and better and better in writing. Like from writing a lot of more than 1,000 words for description, I write it now about 200 words for description, and still want to still be able to tell what I want to talk about. So that's one thing. There's a lot of people out there that are willing to share the advice. So if your junior developer want to start, they can actually Google it first or ask some speakers that already experienced and just express themselves that they want to speak. And then one of the speaker in the community, somewhere along the way, cannot make it to a conference or a conference because conference always look for speaker.
True.
So
without speakers, there's no conference, no?
So we always trying to recommend more and more people that we know that can be a potential good.
Sure.
For example, my case, I couldn't go to View Amsterdam this year, and I also already have a speaking confirmed, right? So I couldn't go. So instead, I recommend Dima, which is my co-organizer of ViewTS Israel, to take my slot, and now he's going to speak.
Yeah, I saw that. I think that's super awesome that he actually gets to do that.
Yeah, this is the first time for him to do it outside of Israel in the proper conference, like in New Amsterdam. So it's like also like speaker like me, I'm happy to create opportunity for other people because I was given the opportunity. So need to pay back to someone else also. That's how we get the community grow.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's great for your career growth as well because you can teach. So you spoke about writing quite a bit. So what in your mind makes a good, let's say, writer in the development world? Like if you have to write some technical stuff or maybe explain stuff, what is it that makes you such a good writer? And because you also teach, right? So how does that work?
Well, I'm less like a teacher because I'm a very bad teacher. So I try not to teach face to face. I don't want to be I don't want to be responsible for someone else crying now.
Oh no.
Okay.
No, I enjoy writing a lot, and when I write, I think the more important thing when you start writing, especially writing tutorial or writing I'll say introduction or 101 or best practices, that keep in mind that you're writing to an 11 years old person or really junior person, like even the person that have a very basic English, because not everyone in the developer world is fluent or a native speaker, English speaker, right? And if we use a lot of terms that no one understands. But me, I also don't understand. I only got to know that CLI is mean the command line interface. And
yeah,
before
exactly.
before everyone talk about it, like everyone know what it means, but not every developer know what it means. If we don't use it, we don't know it. And
so you would say keep it simple. This is kind of the best approach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, keep it simple. Think about people who first time reading it, or think about you when you are a newbie, like the first time when you try to get into tech. And every time when I write an article, I always try to remember what I feel when I will first read an article that I have no idea what it's talking about, even though it says for basic, like for beginner. And and it keep me going and try to make the words easier. And then I took the article and I dump it to another programmer, or I asked a person who have a very basic skill of English, try to read it and try to tell me whether which word is hard to understand. So and then that's the best way to do write proof.
Okay, wow.
Written.
So
Yeah.
you're kind of using your own community to make those articles better to understand.
Not my community, my connection. Right?
Yeah, well, okay,
I'm,
sure.
yeah, I'm around me. We have a native English speaker. We have a C++ programmer that always try to make fun of me. That why are you doing not non-real programming? So
Oh, really? Wow.
yeah.
So I know that you're doing like a lot of things, right? And you just explained to me like all this organizational stuff. So let me give
Mm.
you a challenge. So what if you only had 8 hours a week to work? What would you do in those 8 hours that will still make you successful in your job and all the stuff you do? So what is the essence of what you would do?
Well, 8 hour a week. That's
Yes.
a real challenge.
So imagine you have just
Because
one day this week. Let's say you're on holiday, you have one day, and
Mhm.
people shouldn't notice any difference if you are there or not in our community, let's say. What would be the
Okay.
most important part for you to do?
Well, because I'm still working, so most important that I need to complete my task at work.
Mm.
So at least 1 or 2 days, I need to like to 1 or 2 hours. I need to dedicate to my work, and then because in the community, speaking more or less not require a lot of attention because it's require a lot of preparation in advance.
Sure.
So 8 hours is surely not enough. So I'm dropping it.
Ah, yeah, sure.
And
Sometimes you just drop something, right? Sure.
yeah, and so I spend about another 2 hours to 2 hour 3 hours to write a blog post to start with the research about something I really want to learn. So I have about 3 hours left to decide what I want to do. Maybe an hour to try to organize the next meetup. Like
Maybe
another
another
hour.
hour for the kids.
Yeah, of course. But you say I
No,
hours
it's
to
work.
work.
It's work. Yeah, yeah. Let's be fair.
Yep. So I have 3 hours left
Yes.
to do other stuff. So about 1 hour I will spend to do research on what I want to learn, something I want to improve, and then 2 hours dedicate to my open source project.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that actually that kind of works, right? So
Yeah.
let's almost wrap it up. I have one last question that I stole from Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss is this amazing blog post guy. Oh, blog post. Oh, he writes blog posts, but he also does.
Le Brockler.
Yeah, and he writes books and he has an amazing podcast. And what he asks generally at the end of each interview, I'm just going to steal that from him. So, if you had a billboard, like super big, and you can put it anywhere you want, what would you put on that for people to read? So, it's not really commercial or just whatever you think is important in life. What would you write on that?
Um, I will write there. Nothing impossible.
Nice. Because it's kind of true, I guess, if you're lucky
Yeah,
enough.
it's have been my slogan, like my motto, since I was 20 until now.
Wow.
Like,
Cool.
yeah, I learned it from one of my managers in Intel during my I used to work in Intel, and one of my managers, every time when I told him that it's impossible to do this or to do that, he tell me one thing: there's nothing impossible. Everything have a solution. It doesn't matter if you look for it enough, like think about it enough. So that's actually cool because every time when I got into from that moment on, every time I got into a problem, that the first thing I think is that I need to look it from a different angle. There's nothing impossible. I need to find a solution. And whether I can accept the solution or not is my problem.
Ah,
But
okay.
everything, yeah, I mean, whether I want to trade for that solution, because some solution require trade off. So it's the matter whether I want to go for it or I don't want to go for it. But it's not. It doesn't mean that it's impossible. It means that I choose to make it impossible. So it's helped me a lot. It's helped me in moving to Israel. It helped me to stay in Israel without all the time want to go back.
Yeah, sure.
It helped me. Yeah, it helped me go through my university days in Israel, studying with all the other Israelis in Hebrew, where I had no idea what the heck I'm going doing.
So you had school in Hebrew, even though you didn't speak
Yeah,
it. Wow, that's
yeah.
amazing.
I like I say, I wanted to adapt to the local environment,
Mm.
and I cannot go on and on and being like a international person, and I don't want to learn the international way because I'm in Israel in the startup nation, so I should learn the proper way of them thinking
Yeah, sure.
and try to adapt much. So I decided to just jump in and try to get into a local school to study in their own language. So it's pretty tough because I didn't know any Hebrew and except knowing math, but that's good enough. And
Yeah.
and I do the interview about math, and I got into it. The first year were really hard, but
Yeah, I can imagine.
eventually but eventually it's passed because you get used to it
Yeah.
anyway. As
Sure.
long as you don't give up, everything is possible, right?
Yeah, for
So
me, it's
that's
like,
one
yeah,
thing.
I'm not so good with languages, so I can order my drinks in French, and that's about it. No, I can know a bit more, but still. Is there anything you'd like to share? Something we haven't discussed yet?
Oh well, I think we discussed a lot.
Yes, we did. In
Eh,
40 minutes, we discussed everything. That's funny.
well, the sharing, like we let's say one of the things that I wanted to share that I saw a lot of people trying to be everything, like trying to do a lot of things and look at us. People like looking at me or people talk to me like you do a lot of stuff. You can do anything. I want
Mm.
to be like you doing a lot of stuff. But honestly, what I want to share is that don't.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
it's it's require a lot of hard work, and unless you are not having a supportive husband or wife, or you don't have kids, you can do as much as you can. But if not, do one thing at a time and try to be good at it first, and try to organize the time in for that, because or else you will end up not knowing everything. Like we always talk about full stack.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
you cannot be good in back end and front end at the same time. You have to be one expert in one.
Yes,
So
exactly. So,
or
do we
else you
have
end up with,
actual full stack developers? Do they exist, do you think?
well, you can call it a back end developer that trying to think that he's the front end also. Like
Maybe.
know how to work, like know how to use Flex in HTML or write
Hmm.
div or span. So yeah,
Yeah.
they can call themselves the full stack. But you and me both know that there's no such thing called
No.
full stack.
In my opinion, no.
No.
The other day, I did a whole bunch of front end work on a React app, and then I
Hmm.
integrated this into some huge CMS system, and I did all the build scripts, and I wrote some Java to put everything together. And they called me, "Whoa, you're full stack." Like, no, I just understand the build script, and
Right.
I just understand the system, but it doesn't mean I'm going to write an amazing Java unit test, right?
Right.
So,
Like the same thing. Like you will know how we know how to use the tools to make us look like a full stack, but we're not.
yes, expectancy
You know.
management. How do you look to the
Yeah.
outside? It's
Right.
pretty important,
But
right?
again, it's important, but to yourself, I'm not sure because let's say all of those stuff is not considered good experience, a strong, solid background. Say we go to an interview or we go into a next job, how will you answer a JavaScript basic question if you don't have a solid ground on it? They
Yeah.
were not going to ask you how to use this tool or that tool. They are going to ask you how to build that tool.
Exactly. So don't say you're full
So
stack if you're not, kind
right.
of.
Well, you can you if you're a backend developer and you know a bit of front end, then you can call yourself full stack.
Yeah, these
That's
are the
okay
most
then.
safe ones because if I, as a front end guy, say I'm full stack and they ask me some C sharp question, eh,
Mhm.
probably not gonna happen.
Trust me, I came from a background of C++ and C
Right.
sharp. I mean, I was I don't know if I call it back end because I was not working with apps. I'm working with software in the desktop. So
But it's still
I
backend
know how
developer.
they're probably.
Yeah.
But it's consume a lot of time to be an expert in C Sharp, Java, or Node.js developer. But it consumes equal time to be able to be a front end developer, because we're dealing with different stuff. We got to know how the UI works, how the browser works, what is the performance. You need to write the code, how to make the application responsive. That we have only like 9 hours, 24 hours a day. How we do all of that together?
Yeah,
Context
it's
switch also, right?
exactly. So I really want to thank you for being my first interviewee. This is fucking awesome because I've never done this. I'm always on the other side. Like people ask me stuff because when I'm on a conference, they get interviews or I do an interview for someone who wants a job. But so this was my first time. So thanks very much to give me the opportunity to ask you stuff. And you helped me a lot. So that's super cool that you're so flexible.
Thanks.
No, it's my. I have to say it's my honor to help you to
Thanks.
do this kind of stuff, so that you can erase your pro thinking. No, just I think that you are doing awesome,
Oh,
and
thanks.
even yeah. I mean, I don't. You're one of the most favorite people that I met in conference. I
Really?
really keep in
Oh, that
touch
makes me
with.
so happy.
Come
Thank you.
on, you know that. We we
Well,
we even talk about collaboration, right?
All the time. And now's the first time we do it. But I do remember,
Yeah.
like, the first time we met at that conference, in that whole speakers room, there were a lot of people, all these big shots, the guys from Nux, the Evan Yu was there. But I only wanted
Yeah.
to talk to you because you had so much interesting stuff to say, and this was super cool. So
See?
I'm looking forward to more collaborations and to actually create something together, or maybe we interview other people again. You know, there's so much
Yeah,
out
it
there.
sounds good.
We're gonna make it happen for
Come in.
sure.
Yeah. Come in. Come in.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so thank you very much, and yeah, that's it. I think we're done.
Yep.
Okay.
Yay!
Okay. Bye bye. Bye.